Welcome to the Football Historian Podcast.
By all means, enjoy it.
He will go right to the very top.
Dos, tres, cuatro times.
Here we go, Germans.
I will turn these results round.
All right, that's good manners.
There's animosity, but there's no fight.
If you can't beat them, join them.
How do you make me feel sick if I look at you?
No, I want to fight here.
Don't drink, don't sleep with women, don't drive fast cars.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit too!
Hello everyone and welcome to the Football Historian Podcast. I'm delighted to be joined once again by George Scott and for the first time Gordon Wallace. So George, you are the first person to be a two-time guest on the podcast, so thank you very much for doing that for us. And obviously we've got Gordon Wallace, and you are obviously not just former teammates but very good friends. We said before, I've learned, because not only are you both very kind to me in the fact that you helped with the Billy Little book, you've helped with the Tommy Lawrence book, I've also learned that you're somewhat of a double act. So we need, you can't have one without the other, I think, if that's right. So
it goes 90% one way and 10% the other way.
Well, that's all good for me. But I just want to talk about you two, as you said, for the first section. So just, how did you first meet? How did you become friends? And why are you still mates today?
Well, we met. I'll just pick it off.
Yes.
We met in 1960, didn't we? We came down for a trial at Liverpool with kids. We're only 15. And we came down for a week's trial. I think we played 3 games. I can't quite remember the name of the teams. Blackpool was one of them, I think.
Blackpool was the first one, actually.
And possibly Preston and maybe Everton or Burnley, I don't know. But we played 3 games in the week. And it was quite pressurised at the age of 15. We both left home. Gordon came up from South Wales. And I came down from Aberdeen, a long way from Liverpool, both of us. And we were just young kids. And the trial went well. Both of us were offered contracts by Shankly as apprentices. And funny thing is, I was offered a contract on £7.50 a week.
Here he is, hang on.
Gordon tried to tell me he was offered more, but I reckon he was only offered £7 a week. It was the average wage in those days for an apprentice, but it was a good wage in terms of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, my father, I don't know about Gordon, but my dad was earning £9 a week, full time for 3 kids.
Yeah.
So how old were you then? Sorry, 16 was that?
Well, we came down when we were both 15.
Yeah.
And by the time we got offered the contract, I had just had my 16th. You were still 15.
I was still 15. Yeah, he's older than me.
Your birthday's in October, so.
Were you on more money?
No,
I'm not going to divulge that because I don't want to upset him so soon in this interview. So.
I don't think Shankly would have made no difference.
But we were put in the same digs together, and that's how really we bonded, so to speak, in Skerries Road. And funnily enough, the lady who looked after us, his son still lived there, who's quite old. Well, I think he was about 35, 40, and he was a mad Evertonian.
Yeah,
absolutely mad Evertonian he was. So I don't know how that came about, but everything went quite well, didn't we? Yeah,
they had landladies that looked after the young lads. There was Gordon, myself, and Bobby Graham came down at the same time.
Yeah, Phil Tinney.
Phil Tinney, who played in the FA Youth Cup final, scored 3 goals. Talented player. They were all talented players, young schoolboys. The scouts had picked up from north and south, and we all landed in Liverpool together. So Gordon and I were in Skerries Road. Then Gordon moved down the road to...
I went to Anfield Road. On the top of Anfield Road.
And then I went to Anfield Road and we split up. But then I ended up in 258 Anfield Road. That's the house overlooking Arkles Lane, opposite the Arkles pub. Yeah. Gordon was a bit further down Anfield Road. So we all lived in the same area, right next to the ground. So just walked up for training in the morning. It was fantastic. And in those days, everybody trained together, didn't they?
That's right.
Up to the first team winning you with Millwall, because I saw a video recently. I shared it on my Instagram with it's like the apprentices. I think it would have been a bit after when you were there, but showing how you're in Melwood, scrubbing the boots, cleaning the dressing room. Is that all part and parcel of what you did?
That was part and parcel. The cleaning the first team's boots. Roger Hunt, Ian St. John. And the other thing was every Monday morning after being a home game, we used to brush the cop. And I won't tell you, I can't go into detail what
we found.
What we found, but you also used to find quite a bit of money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
you turn that in?
Yeah, in my pocket. Well, George being a true Aberdonian, it was straight into his pocket.
Straight into the pocket, yeah. I've got a great photograph of me and Gordon and Bobby Graham fork in the pitch at Anfield, and Arthur Riley, the groundsman's behind us.
That's right.
And he's shouting, "Stop larking about, get on with the job."
Yeah, this was at the end of the season.
At the end of the
our
season.
first season as apprentices before we got signed professional forms.
Yeah.
And honestly, you do a fortnight's fork in a pitch.
Yeah.
I tell you, I had blisters on my hand. I knew what work was right from the start.
But especially the pitches those days, so like in the winter, is it terrible? Is it just like a mud heap? Is it harder? Or
basically muddy, really, apart from the wings.
The wings, yeah.
The goal mouths in the centre were muddy.
Right down the middle.
The wings were not bad, nothing like they are today. I mean,
No.
today they're like bowling greens. And our day it wasn't. Wembley was the only stadium in the country that had a bowling green surface, But we had a great time. It wasn't just work. We used to train every day with the first team all morning at Melwood, fantastic day. We used to play in the C team.
C team we started off.
Lancashire League, which is all the Lancashire teams, Burnley, Blackpool, Bolton, United, City, all them. And we'd play home and away on their training ground, and then back at Melwood, Belfield against Everton. And then we graduated to the B team, and the A team, and then the reserves over the years. That's how it works.
That's it. And you've met us, 15, 16 year olds. Obviously, that is a lot of time when youngsters are going out and having fun. Was that part of the story together, or were you not allowed to be doing that, or are you not allowed to tell me?
We won't tell you all and put it that way. No, but we enjoyed ourselves as a group of lads. We all got on well together, and there were two local lads actually. Names you may remember, the likes of Tommy Smith and Chris Lawler. Have you heard of them?
Yeah, they were with us as well. There was all of us together.
They actually signed the same time of us.
Yeah,
they came the same time, and they went on to
big things.
Big things.
Yeah.
Two tremendous players.
Yeah, absolutely. We used to go downtown. To be fair, on a Saturday maybe, we'd watch the Beatles in the cavern. Yeah. Watch with Jerry the Pacemakers, Searchers, all that, because that was Mersey Beat in the early 60s. That was it. Liverpool. It was like the centre of the universe. Because you had the Liverpool Football Club, Everton Football Club were doing great. Yeah. They were called the Mersey Millionaires, weren't they?
I mean, the 60s was a thriving city.
Yeah.
Of course, you wouldn't remember it, but honestly,
before your time, Peter.
It was a.
I've written about it.
I've heard about it. It was a thrive. With the football, the music, everything. It was fantastic.
It was fantastic. Yeah, really, really. It was a place to be. We were lucky, really, because to be honest, I mean, I said this if I came here last time. I'd never really heard of Liverpool. I knew it was a city somewhere in Liverpool. I'd never been out of Aberdeen. I don't know about Gordon, but he came from Llanelli. Can't even say that. Llanelli. But although his dad's Scottish and Gordon's Scottish, proud of it as well.
That's right. Yeah.
He's got a Welsh accent, but he's Scottish. And so, I didn't even know where Liverpool was. But I only just knew about Shankly. And Gordon's dad played with Shankly, didn't he?
Yeah, my father did. Yeah, he played in the same Scottish team.
Yeah. Well, we're going on to that in the next section. Don't worry, we want to talk about your dad there. But yeah, obviously, I was going to say you've both come from further afield, Wales, Scotland, but your parents aren't there. Are you writing home, telling them how great it is, how much you love in life? Are they worried about you being in the middle of Beatlemania and everything?
I used to write home to them. I used to send my mum some money out of the £7 we got. Yeah. I used to send her £2.
So did I. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We both did that.
Yeah.
We both did that. For 5 years I did that.
Because as George said earlier, I think my dad was on about £8 or £9 working in a steelworks down in South Wales. He was a fitter in Turner, and money was tight.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So did the club pay for the houses that you're in as well, or are you paying to?
No, we had to pay ourselves.
We paid £3.50 digs. It was £3.50 digs, £2 to go home, £5.50, £1.50, but £1.50 in the 60s.
A lot of money.
It went a long way.
Yeah,
it went a lot. Believe it or not, you weren't scrimping or scraping, no.
Yeah. Well, that's what a life it is, eh? And obviously, Gordon plays for the first team. We spoke last time you played for in the Senior Cup, which counted as your games. But eventually you both leave Liverpool, so you're writing home to your mum and you're sending her £2 a week. I'm guessing you're not sending each other money, but you still send each other's letters when you're in South Africa and you're in Crewe, you're still speaking.
Right. Yeah.
So how did you stay in touch? Yeah.
Well, we stayed. I mean,
we did at one stage.
You lose contact a bit,
which is only natural.
Yeah, and Gordon's dad came to live over by where I live, just around the corner.
Around the corner.
His dad and mum, and then so we started seeing each other again, play squash together, and all.
And he batted me in that.
Yeah, well, I'll say nothing about that. Now, there were always good competitive games, being good competitive ex-Scousers by adoption, so that's why then we started just, and then play golf a lot. That's a big thing. It's kept us together as well.
So how old were you when you reunited?
Oh,
Roughly.
I would say mid to late 30s.
Yeah.
It's not too far apart. Then,
Well, I
so
came back from South Africa.
But we had drifted apart, you lose contact.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I was in South Africa for 2 years for a start,
Yeah.
And, we didn't know whether I'd come back or not. It was just fate dictated that I did come back to Tranmere.
Well, it is slightly strange that both you, obviously you had careers at Liverpool, but you never had the longest careers at Liverpool either of you. But then to call the city your home still today and still be mates from being in the same youth team, is that special? Of many other clubs to have that same relationship, or do you think that's just what Shankly built? That's what you built as friends, or what do you think?
I'm sure it's something with Shanks,
Give you standards, didn't he?
He set us standards and he put us on the right track. Bill Shankly did.
Yeah.
There's no ifs and buts about it. He taught us certain things, to respect people.
Yeah.
Like signing autographs. Just a little thing like signing autographs.
Yeah. I said, you've got to say, Shankly was inspirational to both of us.
Yeah.
Gave us the standards we especially lived a life by, And he was so charismatic. And he was a one-off. We were lucky to be there with him at the beginning. And sadly now, Gordon and I are two of there's not many of us left now, is there, from that wonderful era.
Era in the 60s, yes.
Brilliant team of the 1965 Cup final.
Yeah.
All those lads,
Unfortunately
no longer with us.
Deceased, yes.
So, it's good that Gordon and I can talk about those days. And that's why I was so pleased when I wrote that book, because it gives modern fans an idea of what it was like back then.
Yeah.
So Gordon and I are very blessed.
I think prior to us coming, our parents, taught us the rights and wrongs. So,
yes.
But Shankly, carried that on, and he took us into his, whatever you want to call it, and just told us, exactly the right things, the wrong things to do. Don't get involved in certain things. So.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot's made today that the way that apprentices were treated in that era and even afterwards was too harsh. They weren't given respect by the rest of the dressing room. It wasn't the right way for a youngster who's 15, 16 away from home to live their life. Do you think that's fair, or maybe did that get worse after your era? Because I think there are stories of basically older players bullying younger players and stuff. Is that something you ever saw? Or?
I didn't say that. Not me personally. Not
fantastic with us.
Yeah. Not myself.
Yeah.
The likes of Roger Hunt, Callaghan, all these guys. They were lovely guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely lovely guys.
Yeah.
For all the success they had, and over the years, probably may speak about this later. But George and I, we love our golf. Roger Hunt and Tommy Lawrence, even though they achieved so much in the game. We used to play a couple of games of golf every year.
Reserves against first team.
That was my next question, because obviously we did the Tommy Lawrence book. You told me the story of that special game you played together. So if you don't mind sharing that again now, that'd be great.
Yeah, it was. We were at the Lee Golf Club, wasn't it? Lee.
Yeah, Lee on the East Lancs.
Rogers Golf, and he invited us to play. Yeah. So we get on the tee and we said we'll have a competition. What we're going to play. Tommy Lawrence, he tried to fiddle his handicap. I didn't believe him, but we gave him 24 shots or something, And Gordon and I played it was a tight game, actually, and because we're always competitive, so were they.
Oh, yeah.
They were getting on a bit now. This is only a few years before Tommy sadly passed away. And we get around the 18 holes, and we managed to pip him at the post, didn't we? So we just beat them by one up, So we retired to the dressing room, and we're in the dressing room having a few pints, reminiscing about Shanks, telling stories, having a bit of a laugh, And Roger said, well, boys, I think I better get going now. Go and sort the bill out. So he goes over to the bar to sort the bill out. And then he comes back and we're shaking hands and give a hug, and walking out the door. And as he's walking away, I said to him, hey, Roger, haven't you forgot something? We're playing for £1. And he looked at me. He looked at me, he looked at him, he said, he may have a Welsh accent, but he's a bloody Scotsman, just like you, Scott. He tossed a pound across to me and I caught it. Come here, give him one.
Yeah.
And it's still my trophy cabinet, a little trophy cabinet at this point. Anyway, I said, it's not every day you win a pound off a World Cup winner, Tom. Hey, Roger. So he saw the joke, it was great, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that, as you said before, that's obviously, I don't know if you can put it all down to Shankly, but just the club at a time and all that, that says a lot for the relationship that players for like so many years after have still got such a close bond, and especially as you said, reserves and first team, and maybe wouldn't have a bond normally, for them to still be mates with you and still be talking everyone. It just shows how close the club must have been at that time.
There was a great bond.
Yeah.
As much as we all wanted to play in the first team.
Yeah, it's competitive.
I wanted to play more games, obviously, but it wasn't to be. But the bond was still there.
Yeah, the problem we had, both of us, the substitute rule was not in existence. So there wasn't any squads. There's one man could go carrying the bag as a 12th man.
Yeah.
And, they never hardly got injured, did they? Very few injuries. For some reason, very few injuries. And the season was quite a long season. They played a lot of midweek games as well. But that team stuck together and very rarely changed. And that broke a lot of people's hearts. Like, Gordon broke through and got maybe 20 games, I can't remember. Over the few years when the injuries stopped you, really. I mean, if you didn't have the injuries, I think you'd have played a lot more, to be honest. But
it's just getting the opportunity. I was fortunate for our little gang of lads.
Yeah.
I was the only one who was given the opportunity.
Yeah.
Whether I took it or not, I don't know, but I would have loved to have achieved more. I would have loved to have achieved more.
Yeah.
In my career.
Look what you achieved already. You scored the first goal for Liverpool in Europe ever. You played in the first ever match of the day. Yeah. And your debut was a fantastic success against West Brom.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I had my moments.
He's very...
I said we'll go on to that in the next section, but just to finish off this on YouTube today, so what is the life of George Scott and Gordon Wallace now? What do retired footballers do in Liverpool?
Golf.
How often?
I play 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Same.
Well, I try and play twice at least. Yeah.
Did you boy play each other every week or?
Oh no.
We play.
We're at different clubs.
We go to each other's houses once every 5-6 weeks. Have lunch, don't we?
The wives.
Sue come to our house when we go to Gordon's house, wife and I. Because we've both been married. Well, I've been married 58 years now. Mm-hmm. I met Carl at Anfield and Gordon met. Well, you knew Sue before. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Before you went to Anfield, so it's a lot, over 100 years, 120 years marriage here, So yeah, I mean, in my case, I've had a few health issues in the last few years. When I published that book, The Lost Shankly Boy, I was in hospital having a five-way heart bypass during the pandemic, and recovered from that. 5 weeks in intensive care. 7 months later, I got hit with double bacterial pneumonia, and that was a bad one. I was given 8 hours to live. I'd lost 24 pounds in weight, my oxygen levels had sunk, and just by some miracle, probably Shankly had something to do with it, bit of fighting spirit. I didn't give up, and that's what they said, you didn't give up, you kept fighting, and you got through it bit by bit. Gordon was the first person that came to see me. When I first, not out of hospital, I got into a wheelchair, taken into the garden downstairs, and he came with my wife to see me, and that gave me a big lift. And then from there, now I'm walking 10,000 steps a day, playing golf 3 times a week, feel good.
Going back to his heart, have you ever heard of a 5-way? Truthfully now, I have never.
No, I've heard a double.
I've heard a double, I've had a quadruple. I've heard of a quadruple. Yeah. No.
Just show it off.
But he's got to go 5. He has got to go 5.
Didn't want to go 5.
I've never heard of it before, and I haven't heard of it since.
Why you went, just to see it was true? It wasn't to see how he was. See if he was lying.
It is true. I can promise you. It's true. You want me to see the scar?
I'll do that later. Yeah.
No, so I've got my grandchildren. So has Gordon. So we love.
Yeah. So that's part of our lives now. My grandkids, I go and watch them play football. 3 of the lads really enjoy playing. One's 15, one's 10. And the other 6. So I love going watching them.
Yeah, of course. And then you were just saying then before we were to our first break, you were saying that you're all meeting up again soon, all the Shankly boys.
Yeah, we've got a Shankly reunion of what we call the original Shankly boys. I've got a squad photograph, and 8 of the lads are in that photograph in 1964. The year they won the First Division Championship, and it's at the Shankly Hotel later on, a few weeks' time.
Yeah,
and we've got some really, really good talented players that were at Liverpool when we were there that didn't actually make it big time in Liverpool, but they did elsewhere. They all had careers elsewhere.
Australia,
and they're
they've been to.
very interesting stories when you speak to them. One was got New Zealand caps, one played in the American League, one played up in Scotland. One of them became one of the most successful managers in Scottish football history, Alex Don. He managed 7 clubs in FA Cup final, won Manager of the Year 2 years in a row. Not in a row, 2 years over a period of time. So, it's a real mixed bunch. And the memories will come flooding back.
Yeah.
All the Shankly stories will come
Oh, we
out.
have some.
So is that just for you? Is that a public thing, or is that
It's
just
just for us.
Just for us,
okay.
yeah.
We won't plug what it is then. I was just wasn't sure that.
No,
that's what
it's
you
not.
did,
It's a private dinner.
Well,
but
it's all down to George to get us all together.
Yeah.
George started. I think there was 4 of us.
5 years ago, 6 years ago.
It was only about 4 or 5 of us at the time, and then next thing somebody says, "Oh, I know such and such," and then somebody says, "Oh, yeah, he's still in the area."
Yeah.
And there's a lad coming over from Australia.
There's 2 coming from Australia.
Australia.
I mean, one of them.
Not just for this; they're coming over anyway.
Yeah.
But so we've
One lad, Alan
we've got
Hignett.
the time, the date around the
Whenever
time
it's
that
free, yeah.
So but it's all thanks to George for putting it all together.
Yeah.
2 of the lads, Alan Hignett and John Seeley, they played in the game against Wolves after the cup final in 96. Well, before the cup final in 65. It's the one that I missed because I got transferred up to Aberdeen. Those 2 lads played. John scored. They beat Wolves 3-1 with the
3-1.
reserve team, basically.
3-1,
Yeah.
And Alan Hignett was playing. He's left back. He lives in Australia now. So they've all got great stories. It would be a really good day. Chris Carline, who's Bill Shankly's grandson, he's facilitating the thing for us. And all we're doing is having a meal of fish and chips. And the alcohol is more important than the fish and chips.
And the stories.
And the stories, yeah. So it'll be a really good day. We've got a couple of lads coming along. Ronnie Moran's son, Paul.
Yeah.
He's going to come along.
Oh yes, that's right.
And Stephen Scraggs. You're very welcome to come if you want to.
Tell me about
I have asked Jeff Goulding, but he's not sure whether he can get off work or not.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good day. For us, it's great because we'll see all our pals. Some of them, until we started this, we hadn't seen for 50 years. And you see them coming in, who's that?
They look a bit different, yeah.
And you suddenly realise because the voice never changes.
Yeah, there was one 2 years back, I think it was. Paddy Kinsella. Paddy Kinsella. I saw, I knew I could recognise all the other lads there, and I thought, who's this guy? I had no idea.
It's like Father Christmas.
He looked like Father Christmas, honestly.
Big white beard.
Exactly.
Christmas
hat. I had to get to George to one side.
Who's he?
I'm going, who's that? And he said, it's Paddy Kinsella.
He was a good player as well. I don't think he didn't get much past the 18, but that's good.
Yeah, well, that's great. And as you said before, it's a testament to the team you had then that you're all still doing that now. But we'll go to our first break, and I'm going to talk more about Gordon Wallace and your career and then before. But yeah, we'll see you in a sec.
Okay.
Are you looking for a Kazakhstani football team to support? Then I think FC Kemay is a team you should support. Do you agree?
Growing up as a child, I always had FC Kemay posters on my bedroom wall.
Well, and all the children of the Kazakhstani future will have FC Kemay posters on their wall because FC Kemay is the team to support, and because of that, Tom has made us a chant that we're all going to follow. So,
up the Kemay, up the Kemay,
up the Kemay. Make sure you follow them on all the social medias, all the posts and all the things you should follow will appear below us and right here. You should be a supporter of FC Kemay.
Live, laugh, Kemay.
Welcome back to the second section, still joined by George Scott and Gordon Wallace. So for anyone unaware, we've already had George Scott in. I'm not just being rude and totally dismissing your career. We've already spoke about it. So we're just going to have a bit more attention on yours, Gordon. As you said before, despite the accent, you are born in Scotland. You moved to Wales at a young age.
That's right.
And your dad was a footballer as well. So what was life growing up?
That's correct.
As a youngster with your dad as a footballer?
Yeah, well, my dad actually played for Scotland. He played for Clyde in Scotland, and he actually won a Scottish Cup final. Hampden Park, played in front of 135,000. That was Hampden's crowd in those days. He played 7 times for Scotland, and he played with Bill Shankly. So they knew each other. My career... We moved down to South Wales, when I was 5 years of age, and I was scouted around when I was 15 years of age and asked to go to Huddersfield, where Bill Shankly was the manager. So somebody locally had thought that, send this kid along. So I went for 3 certain weekends, and I did quite well. I scored a few goals. And then after the third trial I had, within a week, Bill Shankly had left for Liverpool. And within another week, I had a letter. This letter came through the door in South Wales, Liverpool Football Club. And it was from Bill Shankly, saying he'd like to see me in Liverpool, and would I come up for a trial? And it was 10 days actually. George said a week before, but it was 10 days. We had a trial in the Easter holidays, where all the lads from Scotland came down, and I came up from South Wales. And that's where George and I first met. And we did quite well, both of us, and we both got offered contracts as kids. In the first season there, we played in the C team, which we were very successful as a team. I scored quite.
You won the league, didn't
we? We won the league easily, yes, and I scored quite a few goals. It seemed to be what I was on the striker part of it. We were inside forwards in those. George was 8 and I was 10. But we scored quite a lot of goals between us. Come the end of next season, I was in the reserves. Oh, sorry, in the end of that first season, I was in the C team. The last game of the season, you used to go into the dressing room. The teams were on the back of the door, and I couldn't find my name. And I thought, what's wrong? Anyway, the next thing, it was Joe Fagan who came. And I would pick for the reserves. I mean, I was only 16. Oh, yeah. And it was at Man United. So, obviously, I rang my mum and dad that Friday, and they came up. They were there the next day, watching me at Old Trafford, and we won 2-0. So that was a start. Come the start of the next season, I was straight into the reserves. And I broke my leg. And in fact, I had an injury, and they didn't know what it was at first. And I was, I'd had X-rays and nothing was showing. And I remember Ruben Bennett, who was a marvellous coach, and Tommy Smith used to tell this story when he used to do his after dinners, and he says, Noddy Wallace, as they called me, he says, Ruben would block tackle me. You're trying to find out what, the strength of my leg. Anyway, I went down like a ton of bricks. I mean, and Ruben was a tough man. He was a real, wasn't he, George?
Major, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you mean block tackle? Sorry,
well, he was just putting the ball in between us and both going at it.
So to test your injury?
To test my injury, yeah. And I went down like a really ton of bricks this time. And I hadn't played for about 4 or 5 weeks. But I thought I was getting better, so that was one of the ways they tested me. So I went down. Anyway, I went for an X-ray, and they found out I had a hairline fracture on my tibia. So I was in plaster then for 6 weeks, and George tells a story. I'll hand over to you, George, because George tells it so well about me walking down the corridor.
Yeah, Gordon comes out of the dressing room with Joe Fagan. Joe's got his arm around his shoulder, and he's got a big plaster on his limp, and he's got a stick, walking stick, Yeah. And Shankly says to Bob Paisley, he just sees him, he says, yes, Wallace, his bloody walking stick's been in hospital more than him.
And he's a malingerer.
He's a bloody malingerer. So his walking stick's been sold and healed twice. Didn't like injuries, Bill.
Yeah.
So I came back, and I played back in the reserve then when I was after 6 weeks in plaster.
Yeah.
So in my second season there, I was still in the reserves. So which was I just turned 17 then.
So do you reckon that broken leg came from this tackle in the training?
No. It was there, but it hadn't been picked up. Yeah. The club had done the right thing. I'd already had X-rays, but nothing showed.
Right, okay.
The consultant never saw it, or it wasn't showing. So So by the end of the season, we went into the Liverpool Senior Cup at the end of that season, and all the lads, and we had 3 big games, and we played against Rochdale's first team away from home, and we won 3-1. The next couple of days later, we played Man United at Old Trafford with Albert Quixall, David Hurd, Nobby Stiles, and there was
Ian Moyer, Phil Foulkes.
Yeah, and they were big names in those days.
Albert Quixall, yeah.
So we won 5-2 there.
I think Alfie Smith scored a hat-trick, didn't he?
Yeah. And I was a Monday, Rochdale, Wednesday, Old Trafford, and on the Friday we went to Burnley to play the final, and we just lost 2-1.
I scored.
Yeah, 2-1, wasn't it?
Yeah, I scored. Hamish Mackenzie went in goals. Tommy Lawrence got injured.
Yes.
Got carried off after about 20 minutes. We had to play 70 minutes with 10 men, no substitutes, and we held them to right near the end. And Ian Towers, I think, scored a 25-yarder and lost the cup. But we were all kids, 16. 16. That was 16, 17.
That's right.
And we'd been to the final of the FA Youth Cup the year before, but unfortunately, Gordon was a month too old. And he didn't qualify.
Yeah.
I think if he had qualified, we'd have probably won it, because we won 3-1 at Anfield, then we lost 5-2 at Upton Park.
Yeah.
Right.
So that could have made a difference. We should have won that. It's a big story.
That final against Burnley, so the injury to Tommy Lawrence been at the outfield player who goes in goal as well. So he's not a goalkeeper who's taking the place. Who went in goal for Tommy Lawrence?
A lad called Hamish Mackenzie. He was
James
playing
Mackenzie.
fullback.
We call him Hamish.
Yeah, so he's a fullback.
A fullback.
So it makes it more impressive.
Yeah,
when you got
that's
it to,
right.
To that late in the game, it wasn't like I should say, just in case people aren't aware of the subs. And just if you could describe what type of player you are as well. I know you said like an 8 and a 10 now, and obviously it's all so different nowadays.
Yeah.
Could you compare yourself to someone in the current Liverpool team or in the Premier League now who plays like you?
Yeah, Salah.
He
He's
was
not a bad player, is he?
He was slightly different, weren't we? I mean, Gordon was more silky. He was more forward than me, a little bit more forward towards down the wing or on the channels.
Yeah.
I was more industrious. I was more busy. Billy Bremner type player, running around, tackling, shouting, passing in midfield and getting into the box and scoring goals.
So where would you play in like a 4-3-3 today? What, just for people at home, just trying to understand what type of players you were.
I'd be up front, and George would be in the middle.
Midfield.
I'd be like George a 10 and you'd be like a winger, you'd be like a centre forward.
I'd probably play on the left hand side or something.
Just because obviously the formation is so different now. It's obviously
people
inside forwards. Everyone knows what it is.
You talk about inside the W formation. They think, what's that? Yeah,
it's interesting. I mean, I scored lots of goals in reserves, but basically I classed myself as a midfield player. I got in the box a lot, got a lot of goals in there.
Yeah.
Wasn't big enough for the diving headers. I didn't jump, I dived.
But I just backtrack a bit as well on your dad. What was your dad's name? Who did he play for when he won these trophies?
Dougie Wallace. He was, and he played. His main team was Clyde. He came over he was South African, my father, but his parents were Scottish. Hence the reason why he could play when he came over to Clyde. He could play for Scotland. And that's how.
And then who would you have played for?
If I had been anywhere good enough, yes, I would have played for Scotland.
Yeah. Okay. And then obviously, we spoke there about the reserves and breaking through and your injury, but Bill Shankly obviously had adoration for you at Huddersfield. Did that first move to Huddersfield, was that because of your dad, or was that because of your talents, or a bit of both?
Well, hopefully my talents, because obviously there were scouts down in South Wales, and. I don't know I don't think there was any relationship between the person who scouted me knew my father had played with Shanks. No, I don't think so. I think it was just they'd seen me play, and
you were quite good.
And, well.
Okay, well, and then obviously you break into the first team, and we said before, I think the 20-odd games you play, and the goals you scored weren't many, but they were all pretty big of importance.
They were, yes.
So if you could talk us through, anyone who's unaware, maybe just talk us through the 3 big games maybe that you're...
Yeah, well, they just won the league the previous season. We'd gone to America, as George said, prior to this. We had 5.5 weeks out there, and when I came back in the season, fortunately for me, Ian St John went down with appendicitis, so I was chosen to play. I was played in the Charity Shield on the Saturday, at Anfield against West Ham, against Bobby Moore, Jeff Hurst. We drew 2-2 and I scored. On the Monday night, we were in Iceland playing Reykjavik in the first ever European match in Liverpool. And we won 5-0. I scored two that night. But I was credited with scoring the first ever European Cup goal in Liverpool's history after 3 minutes. So I say to this day that I mishit it. But recently I did an interview with LFC TV, and they had, believe it or not, a film of it, only about a 2-minute edition, and they showed it to me, and I'd never seen it since I'd never ever seen it, and it was in black and white, and they kept pumping me. Are you sure you mishit it now? I says, okay, it was a great volley. I watched it and I said to him, no, it's a great volley. I'll change my mind. But I think I did mishit it. Yeah. So that was on the Monday, and then on the Saturday was the first game of the season, and it just so happened to be the first ever match of the day, and I scored 2 that day as well. So I scored the second and the winner in the last about 2 minutes to go.
Oh, not bad.
So it was a great week. Yeah, it was a fabulous week. Yeah. I mean, we used to, when we met up with Roger and Tommy, and Roger, we reminisce and talk about things. And Roger used to say about the first match of the day. I said, yeah, but Roger, I scored the second, I scored the winner, and he took it. He just laughed about it. Because he knew it was only Mickey taking. Oh, with all the goals he scored, there's no way I could compete with. So I had a great week that week, and I played quite a few games. And
I remember when you were picked for your debut. Tommy Lawrence was picked the same day. Yeah, I remember coming. We were playing West Brom at home. You were playing away.
Yeah.
And I remember coming into the digs and getting the pink echo, which used to have the old pink echo at night.
Oh yes.
All the football results. You don't have those now. And headlines, Wallace has dream debut. I always remember that. Because the right back was Don Howe, wasn't he?
Don Howe, who played for England.
And you gave him a bit of a toasting.
Yeah. But things happened. I had injuries.
Yeah. Well, we'll go into that in a second. But just first, when you see that of your mate, you made up that your mate done that? Is that you seeing that in the pink echo, or are you thinking, I wish that was me?
No, I was delighted for him. I was delighted for him. I was over the moon for him. I mean, the thing is, when you're playing football, you do your best and you try to get into the team. And I did fantastic in the reserves over 3 years. I couldn't have done any more. I was top scorer, leading goal scorer in the reserves for 3 seasons. And I played more than anybody else in that reserve team. But for whatever reason, I just didn't quite get that step up, and it can happen. Happens to a lot of players, happening to players at the moment. Like the Bobby Clark and David Origi, and they can't get in, so they have to move on.
Yeah. It's just getting the opportunity. Just to be luck to have.
Well, Ian St. John.
Yeah, and there we are. Ian St. John having his appendix out. Gave me the opportunity.
And to show. Probably the best week of your career, is that safe to say?
Yeah. I mean, people ask, which was my best game, but that wasn't any of those 3. When the previous season, when they were going for the championship, for the first time, 63-64, we went to Burnley, and I was on the coach, not knowing anything about it, what the team selection was. And when they announced the team in the bus, Bob Paisley, and he went Callaghan, Wallace, St. John, Arrowsmith and Thompson. And I thought, I didn't know. I didn't know Roger was injured. But Burnley had Burnley. I mean, there were 34,000 there that night. It was heaving in Turf Moor. There were about thousands outside Liverpool fans who couldn't get in. But that to me was in the first team was my best ever game that I played. I remember above the Arsenal game, above the Reykjavik game, the West Ham. That to me was my.
What was the score that day?
3-0. We beat Burnley 3-0, and of course we needed 5. I think it was 5 points we needed with 3 games to go. So there was it was only 2 points in those days. Don't forget. We need 3 points. Sorry, from the 3 games, and they played Arsenal on the Saturday, but Roger was back fit again. So so Shanks was right to pick him on the Saturday. he scored 2.
I remember Shankly waxing lyrical about your performance.
Yeah,
Really remember Bill.
So that was
after that Burnley game.
the Burnley. Yeah.
That's what you say there about subs as well. Like, so you're coming in and you're performing well, but the first team players, Hunt and St John, are taking your place. But if it's a day of 5 subs there, like obviously you're both getting appearances, you're in the line to come on for the last 10 minutes or to play an hour, or everything for the rest of the season. But obviously it wasn't meant to be. It's a big year for Match of the Day. I know you've already spoke about it, but it's the 60th anniversary. I was actually on the radio talking about it not long ago, and they open up every episode with that line from Kenneth Wolstenholme starting it. So is it mad to think that you played in that game with you? Because I'm sure you're like every other football fan watching Match of the Day. Does that just take you back every time? Or?
Oh yes. My grandchildren had seen it as well, which it's something when they say, "Granddad, was that you?" Especially my 6-year-old. He's. Was that you, Granddad? It was nice. My 15-year-old now. Well, he's known. Because the BBC actually sent me a 20-minute edition of the game. And it was on, the reel. It was. So then I had it put onto a cassette, and then I've had it put onto a DVD. And as it's gone on, it's gotten duller and duller. You can't really see much about it, but it's great. It's got something for my grandchildren.
Of course, and that's just how important the television is. As you said, that Burnley game's bigger, but just some few games are on telly, then that makes it so much bigger. But if we talk about Reykjavik as well, obviously not just the fact you're playing and scoring that one. What was it like just going abroad for the first time? I believe there's a bit of a tail on the way to Iceland as well,
yeah. When we were flying, we were getting close to Iceland. There was a volcano erupting. It was an amazing sight, and the pilot said, "Look down, to your left." And there was this. The colour was. It was just an amazing sight. Sats. Can't remember the name of it.
That's fine.
Isn't that terrible?
Well, Icelandic pronunciation might be difficult as well. So
no, it wasn't. It was quite easy. Anyway, it might come to me.
We'll find it.
Go back to. But it was amazing, and the people there were brilliant. You don't get much time when you go to a foreign country, to see much of it, because by the time you get there, you've got to relax. There's a game. You stay overnight, and then you're back on the flight the next day. So seeing any of the countries, you don't get that opportunity.
So that story, Gordon, when you went to Reykjavik, did they play in stop at Prestwick or somewhere?
Oh yeah.
And this old guy, this is a story. I don't know if it's true. This old guy is walking along.
Ronnie Yates tells this well.
Walking along with a dog, and the team are all walking along the promenade there, having a break, And Shankly's at the front, and this old guy stops. And he says, "Hey," he says, "Who are you? Who are you? Where are you all going?" Shankly says, "We're Liverpool Football Club. We're going to Reykjavik in Iceland." Boy said, "Oh, you've taken the wrong turn. You're not going the right way."
Yeah, big Ronnie always used
to tell that.
In his speeches.
I think I have heard that one. Well, obviously, we said there Hunt and St John, and I think the arrival of Tony Hateley as well. Does that start the end of your Liverpool career? Well,
Shanks called me in one day to the office, and he said he'd had they'd come. Crewe Alexandria had come in, with a bid for you. How do you, it's up to you, son. He says, "I don't want you to go. I'm not pushing you to go, but I'm obligated to tell you that we've had an offer, and it's up to you." And he said, and I had been in the reserves then I hadn't played in the first team because there was no subs as well. They're just starting in '67 when I left. They just started after the World Cup. And so I went home and I just got married. In the May. So this was in the October, and I went back home to my wife. I had a chat about it, and I says, "I might get picked up better if I'm playing regular, football league." Yeah. So after a couple of days deliberation, I went back to see the boss, and I told him yes, I'd like to have a chat with them and see. I had a chat with them, Crewe people, officials, and I decided to give it a go.
What division were they in at the time?
They were in the 4th.
Yeah, so
they were in the 4th.
A bit of a drop. Is that
it was a bit of a drop. Yeah.
What made you hesitate about going, or was that?
Yeah. Well, leaving Liverpool, I mean, it breaks your heart in a way.
I must have been at Tranmere when you were a crew.
No, I think you came back.
68.
Yeah.
68. I came back to Tranmere.
So I just thought I've got to give it a go to further my career. You know, there was Hunt, St John, there was Callaghan. They were still going strong, and I wasn't getting a game. So I went back to them and said yes. As I said, I had a chat with them. Decided to leave in the October, and we got promotion at the end of the season. Crew. Did well. We did well. I did quite well, and then I come the first 10 games of the following season. In the 3rd division, we'd done quite well. We'd only lost 1 game in the first 10 games, and I'd done quite well, I must admit. So the papers were saying, you know, people are coming in, they're offering X number of thousand for me, and all of a sudden I broke my leg.
Watford, was it?
Watford is correct, yes. A gent called Brian Garvey. He came in from behind, and I broke my leg in 2 places, my tib and my fib. I was 6 months in plaster. The club sent me down to a place in Slough to rehabilitate, which was good. It was very good. Just came back. But I came back. That was in the October, sorry. A year the following, Boxing Day, was my first game back for Crewe in the first team. I just played about 4 games in the reserves, and I played all till the end of the season. Then I started the next season, and I knew in my heart I was never the fastest person on the pitch, but I knew I'd lost, and I had an interest in a garage petrol station opposite the Cop with a gent called Peter Thompson, and another lad called Bernard Barge, and they just said to me one day, you know, if you ever want to pack in and you want to run the business, they'd walk away. So I decided to retire. So I was only 27.
Yeah.
Because I knew in my heart I wasn't going to go where I wanted to be. That's why I took the chance that somebody would pick me up.
Yeah.
And but it wasn't to be. So I decided, and I never kicked a ball after that.
But it's hard to put here. Obviously,
Yes.
The fact that you had that opportunity, and obviously the money in football then, and it meant that it was like you had a business opportunity which was as lucrative as football could have been. Is that what made the decision easier? Yeah.
Well, yes. As I said, I just got married. We hoped to start a family, and I thought I'm only going to go one way here.
Yeah.
So it was the opportunity to put my heart and soul into the business.
Yeah.
And that's what I did for quite a number of years.
But I'll ask you, George, what level would he have played at if he hadn't got that injury?
Top level. No question about it. Very, very talented player, right from a young age, and injuries is Gordon's downfall. I've always said that.
Yeah.
He would have been a really top player.
Okay.
Well, to say
he was a top player.
You know, George is my agent, isn't he?
Are you looking for a move now, or is this the comeback?
Yes, yeah.
I did everything I could to jump above him, but I wasn't quite big enough to get that extra step.
Yeah,
Having said that,
he beats me at golf. He beats me at table tennis. He beats me at snooker. Squash. Oh yeah, he's got to see. So
he beat me at football. But at the end of the day, there's a lad called Johnny Stokeland, you may know him, I don't know, he's a Liverpool archivist, and he did my ego a great, great thing, because I went through my life, disappointed I didn't get that break, especially the game against Wolves, which I think I should have been playing.
Yeah.
Just unlucky I was sold to Aberdeen the week before. But he said that the Lancashire Senior Cup, which Gordon described before, those 4 games were all first-team games, official first-team games, up until 1974. So I'm scratching at that now and saying, well, I played, so my grandsons, I mean, Wallace, I played 4 times in Lancashire Senior. I scored a goal in the final in the first team.
Yeah.
Sadly, it's not quite as charismatic.
He loves to get one better than me all the time.
It's not quite as important as scoring the first goal in a European Cup.
Yeah.
It's only the Lancashire Senior
They're
Cup.
both impressive. We sat here, I'd swap with both of you. So
I remember, though, when I made my debut at the Hawthorns, I had about, I don't know, about a dozen telegrams. So I was opening up, and one of them was Scotty and the boys, and that meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
You know, there was no... they wanted me to do well. I could tell that.
Yeah.
And it was a great. And I've still got the telegram.
Yeah.
To prove it, Scotty and the boys. I've got all the others.
The same when I made my debut for Aberdeen, because that was my hometown team. It's a dream debut. Scored after 13 minutes, and I got a telegram from Malik Taunton and boys saying, "Good luck, Scotty. You can do it." You know, that's brilliant.
Well, and that's it. You still mate today, and that's why you sat here in my garage for some reason, still talking about it all. But yeah,
it didn't look like a garage, does it?
No, but yeah. Well, thank you very much. It's great to hear it, and then we'll have another break, and we'll talk about some more football history. So, see you in a second.
Okay.
Welcome back to the next section of the Football Historian Podcast.
Sorry, Pete. I'm really sorry to interrupt you. Where'd you get that shirt from?
Oh, this Latium one was just from Classic Football Shirts. Where'd you get yours from?
Thank you. Mine's from Classic Football Shirts as well.
Wow. Well, when I bought my shirt, I used the code TFH10 to get 10% off all orders. Did you use the same?
I did. I used a discount code. I think it was the same as yours.
Oh, TFH10. Oh, that's great, because if you want to get 10% off all your orders, you can use TFH10 at classicfootballshirts.com.
Unbelievable deal.
Welcome to the next section. We're just going to talk about football history, which seems apt for this podcast. So just talk about your own personal history. Obviously, this can be as fans growing up, as players, whatever. But what's the first memory you have of football, both of you?
Oh.
You go first, Gordon, because I've already done this.
Well, my first memory of football, I mean, when I was a kid, I was an Arsenal fan. Dare I say it? Dare I say it?
Could have been worse. Could have been Everton.
It could have been, yeah. That was my first memory. Yeah. And I remember one Christmas, for some unknown reason, my mum and dad bought me a Wolverhampton kit. Don't ask me why. I have no idea. But I remember having that for Christmas as a Christmas present. My brother, big brother, and I. So apart from that, and my father, when he came down from Scotland, when we moved down from Scotland to South Wales, as well as working in the steelworks, he was manager of the town that we stayed in, Llanelli, as Joe says. He became manager of that club. So that was my first recollection of football. Did
you go and watch them play when you?
Yes, I did. Yes. Obviously, we used to live very close to the ground, and the abiding memory is my dad played in a third round. They'd got through all the preliminaries, Llanelli, because they were only in the lower South Wales League, and they played Bristol Rovers at Bristol Rovers. And they drew 1-1, and they came back to Llanelli, brought them back to Llanelli, and there were 18,000 people there. How they got 18,000 people in that ground, I don't know, but that was the attendance, and they lost 1-0. So that's my first abiding memory of watching football. Yes.
Who was your Arsenal heroes when you were a young Arsenal?
I didn't have any heroes. It was just Arsenal as a club. I don't know why. No, I can't answer that one. I can't give you an honest answer to that one.
So your team when you were younger was Aberdeen.
Yeah, it was Aberdeen, because I used to watch Aberdeen since I was a 6-7 year old, all the way through. Yeah. So I went to Liverpool. It was Aberdeen. Yeah. And Aberdeen had agreed to sign me, and it's only when, similar to Gordon, Bill Shankly came on the scene, that he swept my feet away from me and made me leave Aberdeen and go to Liverpool. But eventually it turned full circle, because when I left Liverpool, Bill sold me back to Aberdeen. So I went back to my first love and played for Aberdeen in the first team. So that was cushioned the blow, leaving Liverpool.
There's both young attacking players as well at that time. Who were the attacking heroes that you either looked up to or wanted to base your game on in that era? Was there anyone that you used to watch?
Well, yeah, you wouldn't remember. Nobody around today would remember them. Aberdeen won the Scottish Cup in 1953, and they had a team like Liverpool have now, where every fan could name the team. You know, as Alistair, Glenn, Martin, Young. You can go through the whole team. You know, Leggett, Wishart, Hather. You see, off the top of your head, they were all legends. They're all great players. You know, Paddy Buckley, his name was, centre forward, scored 30 goals in the season that they won the actual cup. They were a big club, Aberdeen, second only to Rangers and Celtic. Still are at the top of the league at the moment. After 4 games, it's a bit of a change. But I mean, no, they were a big club. We used to get, when I played against Rangers, we had 30,000 playing in Pittodrie. Regular crowds are about 20,000. You know, when the 50s, there were 40,000, all standing. You know, it's like Charlton Athletics ground. It's a big, the old valley.
Valley, yeah.
Big. Oh, you see the faces. No stand, no covering. You know, it's got obviously all covered now, but in those days it was very impressive. Big gasworks like the Oval and cricket ground in one corner, and the Aberdeen fans down the beach end. Of course, Ferguson was the manager there and did really well with them. And won the European Cup Winners' Cup, didn't they, in the 80s? Yeah, so Aberdeen was my.
And you were there wanting to be on the pitch. Obviously, you did that. So was that what you wanted? I'm not even going to try and pronounce Clonlechty. But were you wanting to play for them, or did you have aspirations to go and play for Liverpool, or what was your hope?
No aspirations to play for any certain club. Obviously, I wanted to play football.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody used to say all I ever did was kick a ball around, and 3 of my grandchildren now are doing the same. Every time I see them is kicking a ball. So I had aspirations, obviously, to follow in my father's footsteps, really. I'm just thinking about that Wolves thing. Going back in the late 50s, I remember watching, but not in my house because we didn't have television. We couldn't afford it, and going to people's houses to watch. And they used to play, it was Spartak against Wolves. I remember that now. Maybe that's why I had a Wolves journey.
That was one of the first games I watched on floodlights.
Yeah.
Wolves and Spartak at Molyneux.
That was the late 50s, 57,
yeah, Billy Wright and people like that playing.
Yeah, Slater.
Yeah.
What's that European Cup or?
Ron Fowler.
What competition that being?
I'm not sure if it was a European Cup.
It was the European Cup.
Yeah, European Cup, because that started in 1960.
Was it called in the European Cup then? No.
Yeah, because Real Madrid won it in the late 50s, didn't it? Hamden, 61, 60.
Yeah.
So
that was Di Stefano.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Puskás.
That's right, yeah.
And then I'll ask you if you can do, let's do a combined 5-a-side team. If you two can pick of players that that's from the Liverpool team that you both played, and obviously you both have the touch of the first team, maybe some of the reserves as well, but players you both played with who would make the ultimate Liverpool Shankly era 5-a-side.
Just a Shankly era?
Yeah, just when you were at the club, both of you.
Well, a little story about the 5-a-side. Every Monday we used to play in the car park.
Yeah.
Shanks absolutely loved his 5-a-side. Didn't he? Loved his 5-a-side.
Scott Wallace to the car park. 5-a-side start.
5-a-side, yeah. And, it was Ruben Bennett, who was chief coach, Bob Paisley, Joe Fagan,
Shankly.
the boss, and George, wasn't it George? Golly.
Ronnie Moran.
And then there was 5 of us, never won. They cheated. They did everything. The goals, their height, they were kicking into was there. When we were attacking, the goals, the height of the post of the
couple of gym shoes.
Yeah. Oh.
So are they the ultimate 5-a-side team then, because they never lost, or?
They never lost. Yeah.
Don't forget, they were in the 40s, very experienced pros. Ex-pros.
Well, they'd all played as well, hadn't they? Of course.
So we had more energy, but they had more tactical acumen. Cheating.
Yeah. I'd have St. John in my team. So I definitely have St. John. I definitely have Roger for scoring.
3 more.
So I want 3 more. So I've got to have a goalie, haven't I?
Yeah.
So, Tommy was a great goalkeeper, great stopper. Could be between Tommy and Ray Clements.
Talking about the 60s,
yeah, players you played with, yeah.
Players we played with, Clemo, yeah. So I've got 3 there. We've got a busy little fella. Let's have a look.
No, I'd pick that.
You pick them together. You feel free to add
Peter Thompson.
Peter, yeah.
Kelly.
Well, I mentioned Carly here.
We've got any defenders here, or do you not need them?
Yeah, you would have to have one. Maybe Smithy to kick him.
Yeah, Smithy. Yes, Smithy.
Maybe Smithy will kick him.
So who's your 5 then? What's that team? Who are we picking? Is Tommy Lawrence or in goal?
Yeah, I'll go for Tommy then. I'll go for Tommy. Then I'll go for the Saint, Roger, and Carly. So there's 3, 4. And I've got to get one defender. So Smithy.
Yeah, and then a super sub.
Super sub. Well, I didn't play with Davey, so Davey's after. Super sub. Maybe Scott. Maybe Scott. No, I'll go for Scott.
Would you have picked Gordon as well, or were you picking yourself?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's okay. You can both share the bench then, yeah.
Keep you warm.
Billy Stevenson was a good player as well. Wasn't he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mind you, they're all good.
They're all good, yeah. It's hard to choose.
It's hard. Yeah, very difficult.
And then I'm going to ask you if you can pick the top 5 players in football history. Just a nice, easy one for you. The best 5 players to ever play football, ever.
Ever?
Yes.
Oh.
He's got mine on record, by the way.
Yes, that's fine. So I'll put you under pressure.
Well, for me, the best player I've ever seen, and nobody will agree with it, is Georgie Best. I would love to have seen Bestie playing in these pitches now.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
He'd be like Salah.
Yeah. Well, you've got Maradona, you've got to go for him. You've got to go. I mean, one of the best players I think in a red shirt has been Kenny Dalglish. Slightly better than Suarez, only because Kenny did it for so many years. Suarez was with us for a short length of time. Yeah. So I'd go for Kenny. Oh my goodness.
That's 3.
Yeah.
Don't forget it's the world.
I know, the world, yeah. My goodness.
Best, Maradona, Dalglish.
Yeah. Georgie Best, yeah. God, who did you go? Yeah. And Messi, well, he's not bad, was he? Well, Messi and Ronaldo, I mean, what they say, they're tremendous players.
The goal scoring records alone,
Not bad,
Yeah.
All right, that's great. Okay, we'll have another quick break, and then we're going to settle some of the biggest debates in football history before we finish. So we'll see you in a second.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Warren, the producer for the Football Historian podcast, and we're here today to talk to you about the Patreon subscription.
Yes, so for just £1 a month for the first 100 people, there's a lot of benefits that you get, and I think £1 is a terrific deal.
Pittance, yes,
£1 only, and you get early access, which means at least 24 hours before everyone else gets the episode, you get to watch it. There's also an extra section, we call it the Football Historian Podcast Extra Time, and we ask all the questions to the guests that no one else gets to see unless you're a patron. And on top of that, you're the ones who get to ask the questions. You send them in, we tell you which guest is going to be coming and sitting in this chair. You ask them, we record it, you get to watch it, no one else does. On top of that, we do a monthly special. We did one last night. It was a quiz, you were there.
Yeah, bedlam and great content.
Yeah, so hopefully you can watch that. As I said, we've got a round on Linvoy Primus or Lionel Messi. We've done mastermind stuff, all that. That's going to happen every month. The bigger this grows, we're going to do it even more regularly. Hopefully it'll be once a week. But we need your support. So to do that, £1 a month for the first 100 people. Your early support will be rewarded. From then on, it's £3 a month if you want to support us. If you want to pay £5 a month, you get all that we've just mentioned, but you get a poster. Warren will sign it, I'll sign it, all the lads. We'll get a few of the guests to do it as well. We'll send that out to you. And then for £10 a month, you get all that, the poster, all the early access, and you get a free copy of any of my books. So I've done one on Billy Liddell, Crossing the Park, Tommy Lawrence. They're all worth at least £20. For just £10, you get a copy of the book, all the stuff we've already mentioned. We'd really appreciate your support. We cannot do this without you.
This really is a passion project, and anything people can put into it goes straight back into it. We don't take a wage. We're doing this for free. We're doing this because we enjoy what we do.
That's it. It all makes the content better. And I say from just £1 a month, you can make our dreams come true. Thanks for the support. Enjoy the rest of the episode.
The debate.
Right, the final section, and this is the debate. Obviously, George, you've already given some of your inputs on it, but I'm still happy for you to tell Gordon that he's wrong if you think so. So the first one, I think I might know who you go for, but Gerrard, Lampard, and Scholes. Can you put them in order for us, please?
Oh, Gerrard, without any doubt, first. That's not being biased. The reason why I say that, well, I'll go for Lampard and then Scholes, so that would be my three in that order. And the reason why I say Gerrard, Lampard played in a great Chelsea side. Scholes played in a great United side. But Stevie, and I'm no disrespect to the players around him, they weren't a greater side as the other two teams and where those players played. So Stevie comes out tops for me without any doubt.
A few of the teams, didn't he, for a while?
Yes, yeah.
The goals he scored in key games.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that entirely. Yeah.
He's winning quite comfortably, but I do ask a lot of Liverpool-related people. So
right, yes.
The two United ones I've had on have both said Scholes. I haven't had a Chelsea fan yet, so I think maybe need to balance the books in terms of who I'm asking. But he is winning by a
Lampard is a good player.
Yeah. No, yeah.
All three of them. All three of them.
Well, that's it.
I mean, the three of them.
No wrong answer. I think it'll be.
Yeah.
Right, the next one. I think I know who you'll say because you already named one of them, but Pele or Maradona?
Right. Well, I've got to go for slightly Maradona. Yes, slightly Maradona. Pele was fabulous. Don't get me wrong. Two great players. But as I didn't put Pele in my five, I can't say no. That is better than Maradona. So I'm going for Maradona.
Yeah. I think a lot of people that we have on have not really seen either of them. They see more clips of Maradona. How much Pele? If you could describe Pele to someone who hasn't seen him play, what would both of you say?
Yeah, it goes back to the 1970 World Cup final, when Gordon Banks made that, which he made that great save in that great Brazilian team.
Did you not see Pele in
Summer '66 at the World Cup?
In Goodison Park?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, he got kicked to death.
When he got kicked by the Hungarian, if I remember rightly.
Yeah. He retired, didn't he?
Yes.
And came back.
Yeah.
Do you know when we, just as a little aside, when we were in Sweden, the lad that invited us over there, Andy Bear, in his back garden.
Oh, yes.
He's got goalposts in the back garden, and his little kid was kicking penalties, and we took a couple of penalties into this goal. And the actual goalposts are the actual goalposts that Pele scored when he was 17 or 15, whatever it was, in Sweden, in the National Stadium, when they won the World Cup.
Yeah.
He's got a little thing inside the post that says, through these posts, Edison dos Santos Nascimento became the youngest player ever scored in a World Cup final for Brazil. And that was fascinating. What happened was they demolished the National Stadium in Stockholm, and Andy was a groundsman, assistant groundsman. And when they demolished the stadium and built the new Friends Arena, which is like Wembley with a roof on it, we were over there, got shown all around it. And he said, I just said to the ground, what are you doing with the goalposts? He said, you can have them. So he took the goalposts away that he scored that goal into. That's amazing.
Now is there a plaque to say Gordon Wallace and George Scott scored there as well?
each scored a penalty. Mind you, you've only 7 to go to the goalkeeper.
So you still got a score, haven't you? Yeah.
And chipped him.
3, 4, 6.
All right, great. Well, the next one is Messi or Ronaldo.
Well, I'm going to be contradictory. I'm going for Ronaldo. I mean, there's another fellow who keeps himself so fit. You know, for a man of age, he's 39 now, and he's so fit. So I'm going to go for Ronaldo.
Yep,
that's my choice.
Messi's winning this one quite comfortably.
I would disagree only, but only for a reason that I'm 5'6" and so is Messi. And Ronaldo's a lot bigger, more powerful.
Yeah.
Messi for me is probably one of, if not the most skillful, along with Maradona, obviously, and best. His skill, when you see some of the highlights on YouTube, you see some of the things he does with the ball. It's his personal opinion, football, isn't it?
Of course.
But they're both great players. Ronaldo's
great players.
I mean,
there's
no wrong answer.
Grace could go and score. He was good in the air. He was good at taking people out.
Yeah, he's better than Messi in the air, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
And then next one is, if Messi and Ronaldo were the best players of the last 15, 20 years, who's the third best player behind them? So like the more modern era.
Of the new modern era. Any clues?
Well, you mentioned Suarez before. I think George might have said Suarez as well, but obviously there's Gerrard, Ronaldinho, original Ronaldo,
No.
Neymar. Yeah.
No, I'm not in love with Neymar. So
he rolls over too much on the ground.
he rolls over too much. Yeah. Sorry, I wish I'd known that question before, and I would have.
It's hard,
I would have thought about it. Yeah. I mean, you look at some of the Liverpool players.
You got Salah, haven't you?
Yeah.
You look at City, there's De Bruyne, isn't there? There's Henry, maybe just about touches it.
Henry of Arsenal. Oh, yeah.
What, Haaland's coming towards it. The goals he's scoring now. It's unbelievable.
I don't even know if he's any good at football. He's just unbelievable at scoring
goal
goals.
Scorer, isn't he?
It's mad.
Mind you, any team would like that, wouldn't they? A striker of his capabilities.
40 goals a season.
Yeah.
Take him out of that Man City team, it wouldn't be the team they are.
They'd be struggling. Struggling as much as Gordon is here.
Struggling like I am, yes. Yeah. I'd like to say Salah, but, you've got to look at over a long period of time. No, I'm going to have to think about this one.
That's what we can go to the next one. You have a little think.
Go on. Yeah.
Well, the next one then, maybe I'm not sure if it's easier for you, but who is the greatest team ever? So it's not like, over a 2-year period or in a tournament or even it could just be one game, but who's
greatest
the
team ever?
Greatest team ever.
Holy, right. Well, there's so many. You've got to say Man United's teams in years gone by have been great. The Arsenal teams have been great. The Liverpool teams, oh heavens!
Brazilian teams.
Yeah, but did you say Brazil 1970? Is that
Brazil
right?
1970 for me, with Gerson and those guys, Ronaldinho.
Pele, Sanchino, yeah. Mm.
They were incredible.
Yeah, probably a Brazilian team in the World Cup.
Yeah, they were unbeatable.
But that's going back about 50 years, so.
That's allowed.
I said Real Madrid as well. Real Madrid in 1960. You mentioned it before. Di Stefano and Puskas and Gento.
Puskas, Hento, the left winger. I'd go for one of the Brazilian teams.
Yeah.
They were so good. They were so good. The football they played was tremendous.
People still sing today. It's like watching Brazil because of those teams. That just shows how impactful they are on football history, doesn't it? Well, if we have you got an answer for our after Messi Ronaldo?
No. Sorry, I can't.
You can say pass if you
want. About 10,000 players to pick.
Yeah. I'll pass.
That's fine. Don't worry.
I'm going to pass on that.
The last one then. I don't think we asked you this last time, or did we word it differently? So you said before you'd played for Scotland, and let's say Liverpool would be the dream team to win trophies with. So you captain Liverpool to win the European Cup, or you captain the Scotland to win the World Cup. What would you prefer?
Well, I suppose the ultimate thing is to play for your country. So you've got to say the one captain in your country is the ultimate. Oh, just playing for it. Never mind being captain of it, but I'm going to go for the country.
Yeah. And I don't think we asked you or in the same way.
I would agree. I mean, that would be the ultimate. So it'd be the ultimate dream. It'll never happen. Scotland to win the World Cup.
Yeah.
To captain Scotland in the World Cup, that would be out of this world, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you looked at the fans in the World Cup just gone by. It was just unbelievable.
And look at how the 1966 team is held in reverence, even to this day.
Yeah.
Roger Hunt, I mean, Bobby Moore and all them, Bowley. Never be forgotten. So that really is the ultimate.
That's fair enough. Okay, well, that concludes our conversation. So thank you very much. And obviously now, is there anything you want to plug or anything you want to share? So we've got your book, if you want to tell people how to get your book. Again.
Yeah, the book's still doing really well. Although it was published 4 years ago, it's still doing well. It's really a legacy, and it's a history of Liverpool in the Shankly years and beyond. It's my life story, my autobiography. Gordon features quite heavily in it as well. If anybody wants it, they can get it on Amazon. Next day delivery. It's about £14.50. Original price was $19.99, but obviously 4 years ago it's passed. So it's a good bargain, a good read. So anybody wants a signed copy, they can get in touch on Facebook, direct message, and I'll sort it out.
And what's it called? Just put on this.
It's called The Lost Shankly Boy. It's written by myself and Jeff Goulding, very talented writer. I think Jeff's now written 8 books, and he collaborated with me on mine. And he's got a new one out called Klopp's Last Stand, which was published last week. So that's one to look out for as well.
Great.
And you've got some nice books as well, especially the Tommy Lawrence Sweeper Keeper.
Yeah, that's just your bit that you helped me with, yeah. Anything you want to plug, Gordon?
Yes, well, I'll have to second what George has just said there. I've read the book. It's a very, very good read, and it's worth buying. It's worth purchasing, I can assure you that. Some of the stories he tells are true. Well, they're all true, but I mean, some
are true, some aren't. Yeah.
But it's well worth a read. I've got to say that because he plugs me so much in it.
He's even got a dedication.
So it's my turn to be the agent this time.
Is your book coming soon?
My book, yeah, but it'll only take you about a minute to read.
That's an opportunity for you, Peter.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, sure. Well, that's great. Well, thank you both so much. Thanks for coming back, and thank you for coming here for the first time. I really appreciate it. You've both helped me so much with all the things I've done in the past, and I really do appreciate it.
Thanks for your hospitality.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, and thank you for watching. And we'll see you next time on the Football Historian Podcast.